Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 11 battle of the APA Evolution League Season 1. We are 8-2 coming off of a really big win last week, which I am actually really proud of. I feel like I actually played really well. So, we are currently sitting in the 1 seed, and with a win this week coupled by a couple of convenient losses, I believe, by some players, we could lock up the overall 1 seed. However, since Silver beat us in week 2, and Silver is 1 game behind right now, we need to win, and Silver needs to lose at bare minimum to even consider locking in the 1 seed. But as far as it goes, we are going to be taking on Big Daddy Dave and the Chicago Conkeldurrs right now. His team is Mega Gallade, Zapdos, Toxapex, Mimikyu, Skarmory, Dugtrio, Blissey, Noivern, Delphox, and Shiftry, with Mimikyu and Dugtrio being his 2 possible Z users. And right off the bat, he has a pretty interesting team, to say the least. He's got a really good the dual flying type core of Skarmory and Zapdos. The only weakness well, actually, they don't share a weakness at all, which makes them incredibly threatening, as 2 different flying types that do 2 different things. He's also got Noivern as well as another flying type, so I noticed that immediately, that he had a couple of commonalities in the typings there, which meant rocks were actually going to be incredibly valuable this week. And because his main core of Skarmory, Toxapex, and Zapdos all do not appreciate taking a Thunderbolt very much. Zapdos obviously not weak to it, but it doesn't like it. Thunderbolt coverage was going to be big this week, so having good, fast electric types was going to be invaluable. Anyway, first things first, we're going to lead off with this Nidoqueen, which is going to be rocking out with 56 HP, 176 attack, 240 speed with a quiet nature, and 240 special attack with a quiet nature, and 36 speed, again, with a quiet nature. That 177 actually allows me to outspeed a couple of notable threats. Not, like, it would outspeed a what? I honestly don't see what I'm doing here. That 177 speed allowing me to outspeed a couple of notable threats, but primarily just throwing some speed EVs so that I am not min speed, allowing me back to more close to my baseline, so that if he's running something that has no speed investment like the Skarmory, I will be able to handle that. Now, Superpower, Thunderbolt, Stealth Rock, and Ice Beam. Superpower really for the Blissey, and that's about it. Yeah, the Shiftry also gets hit by that, but Ice Beam's a better attack for that anyway. But Blissey does not like taking a Superpower, and catching out a Switch in when he thinks I'm going to be special is going to be really helpful. Additionally, being able to catch the Skarm, the Pex, and the Zapdos with the Thunderbolt, as well as the Noivern and the Shiftry with the Ice Beam, and the Dugtrio as well. The Ice Beam and Thunderbolt coverage hits his whole team really hard. I mean, it does, it's just really good coverage in general, but hits his team especially hard this week. So that's why Nidoqueen is going to be incredibly valuable, and the Life Orb will allow it to do a lot more damage with the Sheer Force boost, obviously, from the Thunderbolt and the Ice Beam. Superpower does not get that Sheer Force boost, but that is what it is. It still does a ton of damage to Blissey because its physical defense isn't all that. Next up, we do have my Tapu Koko rocking out with the Air Balloon, which is going to stop it from being able to be trapped by the Dugtrio and OHKO'd by Earthquake, I mean. He is going to be able to theoretically break the balloon, but I think he's going to run Scarf Dugtrio because it is his best way to handle Koko. Regardless of that, I did run enough speed to outspeed a non-Scarf Dugtrio, which is his fastest Pokemon. Or, sorry, non-Scarf Noivern, which is his fastest Pokemon. And I'm running max attack and an adamant nature, or not adamant nature, but I'm running a max attack and 80 HP, which allows me to hit U-turns very, very hard against his team. Wild Charge versus the Toxapex, which I think will be specially defensive because his Skarmory is his physical wall. That still does not appreciate taking a Wild Charge from a Koko. And then additionally, if I am going to be able to be the Air Balloon, I will be able to U-turn off the Dugtrio, which does almost 70% to a Dugtrio, because he won't be able to straight up OHKO me with the Earthquake. If he goes for the Sucker Punch, that's fine. He's potentially locked into it. Either way, I break the Focus Sash, and then he's going for a Sucker Punch, so we're fine. Or he goes for like a Rock Slide. Maybe it misses, who knows, and my Air Balloon stays, or maybe it hits me and my Air Balloon pops, but then I can go into something else to take like a Rock Slide and kind of scout out if he's Scarfed or not. Maybe my Incineroar, maybe to scout out if he would be able to go for an Earthquake. If he can't, then I know I broke the Sash and we're fine. Next up, we have Gardevoir, which is going to be choice specs this week. Thunderbolt, Psyshock, Moonblast, and Icy Wind. He has one Psychic Resistance, and it's, well, Immunity and a Shiftry, and then one Resistance in Delphox. Neither of those Pokemon appreciate Gardevoir slamming in with a different move. Delphox would be his arguably best switch-in to a Gardevoir Stabs, but that doesn't mean Gardevoir is defenseless against it. Shadow Ball would be able to obliterate Delphox. I'm not running it because I'm not worried about the Delphox at all this week, but he could have it, and he could be a thing that he brings. And he could bring like Assault Vest to really handle the Gardevoir. That being said, Choice Specs Psyshock literally slams his entire team. Blissey, his special wall, cannot take 2 Psyshocks from a Choice Specs Gardevoir. Toxapex, especially defensive, which again I think he's going to run this week, can't take 2 Psyshocks from a Specs Gardevoir. Zapdos doesn't take 2 Psyshocks from a Specs Gardevoir. Gallade doesn't take 2 Psyshocks. So we have really just a general nuke here, and then a Skarmory, which is able to switch in on my stabs, doesn't really want to take a Thunderbolt. Now, Gardevoir does not get an Ice attack. I decided to go Icy Wind over Hidden Power Ice this week, mostly on the grounds that getting the speed control against something like the Dugtrio could be massive. That thing being, like if it's Focus Sash, again, this is the sort of like, is it Sash or is it Scarf? It's going to be one of those two. I don't see a Z move coming this week. But Icy Wind is going to be able to, if it's Sashed, I will outspeed it the following turn. I have enough speed to outspeed Dugtrio at -1. So I will outspeed it, and it'll OHKO with Specs a Scarf Dugtrio. So we are able to handle the Dugtrio either way with that. Additionally, he can't really hard switch it into me because I can survive 1 Earthquake from full, and I can hit him with any move outside of Thunderbolt. And if I'm locked into Thunderbolt, that's just a problem, I guess. But I generally won't lock myself into Thunderbolt as long as his Dugtrio is still alive. Psyshock is mostly my click, unless he has specifically the team to counter that Psyshock, which would be a physically defensive Zapdos, a Skarmory, a Delphox, and a Shiftry, which if I see all of those things, I'm pretty glad that I'm not seeing some of the other things on his team, not going to lie. Next up, we have the Rotom. Rotom is going to be rocking out with Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Defog, and Will-O-Wisp with the Electrium Z this week. First time I'm bringing Z Rotom. It's been... You know, it's week 11, and I haven't even brought it yet, so hopefully he won't be expecting it. Hopefully I'll be able to pop that thing on the Toxapex, or even catch the Blissey and do closer to 40% instead of the like 20% Thunderbolt would do otherwise, since I am max special attack and a modest nature, and we are going to be able to outspeed the Zapdos uninvested, or even with a little bit of extra EV investment, like 4 or 12 that he could put there, then I am still going to be able to outspeed his Zapdos. That's kind of the point. And this Rotom is going to be just a general nuisance. Shadow Ball actually hits his team very, very hard outside of things like the Blissey, which of course is a very good switch into the Rotom. And I thought about running Toxic, but since it does get Natural Cure, I wasn't too concerned about that. And then Defog, since he has Toxic Spikes on the Pex as an option, and he has Rocks as well on the Blissey and Dugtrio and Skarmory, as well as regular Spikes, I figured, you know what, let's just go the Defog route with something that's immune to most of those hazards. All the Spike stuff Rotom doesn't have to take. It's neutral to Rock, so yeah, I'll just go Defog there, just to have it, just in case. You never know if you're going to need to click it, and it's a great move to just have. Next up, we have Scizor. Scizor is going to be Swords Dance, Baton Pass, Bullet Punch, and Superpower with the Aguav Berry, so it can take hits, and it's going to be pretty much max HP. Just to make it an odd number, I opted to go 4 below and put 8 into Special Defense, and then max attack and Inanimate Nature. Bullet Punch at +2 is a very, very strong move. This thing pops its Aguav Berry almost guaranteed against the Dugtrio, so I am going to be able to take on that more effectively, since I can just straight Bullet Punch and kill it with 2 Bullet Punches, or if I have a Swords Dance up, I can Bullet Punch, or I can even Baton Pass if I think he's going to try to predict my Scizor like Bullet Punching and go for the Sucker Punch or something like that. Baton Pass out into the Koko this week is sort of the plan, if I do end up getting the opportunity to do that, because the Koko is a physical set this week, so +2 Air Balloon Koko can pretty much nuke his entire team with Brave Bird and Wild Charge coverage. And if I need to get out of there, then a +2 U-turn is going to hit something really hard. So, and then the Superpower is there for the Blissey, which does take Bullet Punches actually surprisingly well, and is just a general nuisance if it's going for Seismic Tosses. And so we are going to be able to actually always pop our Aguav Berry on Seismic Tosses after 3 of them. So that's really good. And lastly, we do have my Incineroar coming this week, Kitten, with the Choice Scarf, U-turn, Knockoff, Superpower, and Flare Blitz. Since Dugtrio is such a threat to my team, I ran enough speed, which had to be Jolly Natured and pretty much max speed, to outspeed the Dugtrio unscarfed Dugtrio gets outsped by this, and I can go for U-turns on that for free. After intimidating, I can knock off. Honestly, any of my moves against Dugtrio is great. Superpower is there again for the Blissey, and then Flare Blitz is just my strongest stab, and I figured I'd just be able to click it on things like the Mega Gallade, potentially trying to switch in on the knockoff, or just click U-turn there. Also hits the Skarmory hard, and the Zapdos much harder than anything else. And so that's going to be the team this week. Hopefully all goes well and we are able to pick up our 9th win of the season. We have locked up the playoffs as of last week, but we are still looking to be in the quest for the overall 1 seed in this league. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are all enjoying this season. I will see you all back here tomorrow with that battle. Take care, everybody.